Hi, it's Cara back and welcome to my channel. Today I am doing this page using an image from Collage Soup. I've called it September Face because in the text in the little white box there, it's got the word September. So I really liked the colours in this. So I've stuck the image down as a whole, and what I wanted to do was kind of recreate the darkness in the background around my whole image. As you can see, I had a little bit of trouble sticking it in, so I've gone with some PVA and some homemade matte medium. So hopefully that will work. Well, it did work. I got a few little creases in my image, but that doesn't bother me. It's my art journal and they just add interest and texture for me. So I've got out my paints in the colours that I can see in the background, and I'm just laying them out onto my palette. I'm going to try and recreate the background. As I said, it's quite dark, which I quite liked on this date. The paints I'm using are Faber-Castell Acrylics, and they're in grass green, Phtalo green, black, Cadmium yellow, yellow ochre, Indian red, ultramarine, cobalt blue, warm grey, cold grey and coral. I will list these in the description below. But what I'm basically doing at the moment is using a palette knife to kind of spread the paint unevenly. I wanted that kind of grungier look. So I'm just kind of slapping it down, spreading it out with my palette knife to try and emulate the colours on the picture on the opposite page. So I'm just going through and using the colours that I mentioned, or the darker ones. The coral I actually don't use on the background. I use that to extend the girl's face because, as you can see, the image is slightly smaller than my journal page. I'm using a Canson art book for my journal. The paper isn't that thick, and so when I got this journal from an art shop here in Morocco, I stuck 2 pages together so that I could basically slap on all the materials that I like to use. I do like to use a lot of wet medium in my books. The journal is 11 inches by 8.5, so it's quite a nice size, and these images do fit in it very well. I'm very much looking forward to popping back to the UK to grab my Dilutions journal because I do love the paper in that journal. Anyway, here I am extending the hair with a little bit of that India red because that was the colour that matched very well to my girl's hair from what I had in my palette. And there I am using the coral just to kind of match her face. I do believe I whiten or add white to that, there we go, to make it a bit more cohesive with the rest of the page. And I add a little bit of coral to give the girl some rosy cheeks. As you can see, I'm also adding a bit of coral and a little bit of white to the rest of the face. Again, it helps tie it all together. I don't want my girl's forehead to stand out compared to the colours on her printed face image. So I'm grabbing some stencils now. I'm quite happy with the background as it is. I know it looks a bit of a hot mess, but you know, that's how our backgrounds sort of end up. They start this way, sorry, and we add layers and layers and layers to get them how we want them. This stencil is a cheapy stencil from, I believe, like the local pound shop that I had when I lived in the UK. It may have been a Temu, and it may have been actually gifted to me. So it's got like brick shapes on it, which I quite like. And then this stencil is a Tracy Scott stencil from Paper Artsy. It's PS386. It looks a little different to what you might have in your stash, as I've cut it down. Because I travel, I have to fit things into some very small containers and storage solutions. So I actually cut some of my favourite stencils so that I could bring all the ones that I wanted to bring. I've got Connected Dots by Dina Wakely on the page there, but I don't believe I used that. So let's just see. I believe that was some white gesso from Pebeo Studios. And I'm going to put that through this other stencil. This is, I call it Broken Lines. Again, it's from the same place as that brick stencil. So I'm not sure if it was gifted to me or it might have been like a Temu haul. I used to run some art retreats and some classes in my studio back in the UK, so I used to kind of buy some stencils in bulk so that everyone had, you know, access to stencils and things. So some of them are cheapy ones, so yeah, that's one of those. I then used my white gesso that I still had on my palette just to put a bit of white splatter on there. The background was very dark, which is again why I added that white, but the white splatter sort of helps that as well. Plus, who doesn't love a bit of splatter, eh? I do tend to splatter on most of my pieces. So here I am again, just adding a little bit more paint to that girl's face, trying to kind of blend it in and make it how I want it. And then I've got a very tiny brush and I'm kind of adding a little bit of detail to her hair. Again with the India red, but I have mixed a little bit of dark brown in there, which is that one going on now. And I also do use a little bit of the black just to darken up some of the hair, give it a little bit of depth. So that's that, excuse me. Now I've got the blue, I am enhancing her eyes. She had lovely blue eyes, or eye in fact, because you can only see one. So I'm just enhancing that with a little bit of the Cobalt blue, and then I'm adding into the whites of her eyes. I use my Uniball pen for this. It's the only white pen I've seemed to be able to use. Every other white pen I seem to have a bit of a love-hate relationship with. So I've coloured in the whites of the eyes, and I've also added the fleck of the eye in the pupil just to make that pop out. I think that really helps when you pop the eyes out as such. It sounds funny, but you know what I mean. I went to add some red to her lips there. I don't know if you saw that, but I didn't like it. And because I have a lot of product on the page, I acted quickly and I was able to actually remove that. So I've left her lips as they are. Now, again, just to bring a little bit of lightness to the page, I've used that white gesso again and just gone around the edge of my page to create like a little hazy border, bring a bit of light in again. Now, these sentiments, I love these. These are, I believe, Bigger Back Chat from Ranger, Dyan Reaveley. And they are like snarky and just a little bit funny. Some of them a little bit rude. If you don't like that, then you don't. But I kind of like the rawness, if you like, of these quotes. So I can't remember what I choose here, but I'm pretty sure I stick it on the opposite page. So I've found my quote again. So these are stickers. Sometimes, depending on what I've got in the background, I will just add some glue to these. Quite often they stick on most things. If you've got texture paste in the background, you probably know yourself if you're an art journaler that stickers will peel up over that. But it looks like I'm just sticking these down using the adhesive on the stickers, which is quite impressive because I've had these for a while. And they've travelled to Morocco with me and it's quite hot here, so a lot of stuff tends to lose its stick. But these seem to be okay. So there you go. That's basically my finished page. I'm just going to outline those words. I'm outlining in white again because this page is quite dark. So the white helps to make that pop from that dark background. But I'm very happy with the background. It's just as dark as I kind of imagined. And oh, that got stuck. So there's my finished page. Thank you for watching. I hope you've liked the videos I've posted so far. If so, please share my page, like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.